morning, everyone. Did you have a great night in Napa yesterday? As always, give me restaurant recommendations. You know, I love them. So tell me where you've eaten that you've particularly enjoyed. I wanted to remind you to complete the conference evaluations. You've gotten prompts in the app this morning. You probably got something. There are a handful of printed copies at the hospitality desk if you prefer to complete it that way. Anyone who completes an evaluation is entered into a drawing for one complimentary registration. If you submit electronically, you get 2 opportunities to win a free registration to Worlds of Flavor 2020. So don't miss that. You'll also receive the link again in an email next week so that if you don't do it here, you'll get to do it then. But there's many ways to do it, and we take your feedback extremely seriously. This year, our first year being in at Copia, particularly, anything you want to share with us, please do so. This morning, we are talking about the deliciousness of Italy, and there is a lot to be enjoyed, of course, with Italian food. And the moderator for this session will also be presenting. Vincent Carvalho is chef instructor at the Culinary Institute of America in San Antonio. He was born in Biarritz, France, and has cooked throughout Europe, and then has been calling Texas home for a while, having worked at a number of properties there, and at Central Market before joining the CIA. And I see that for the sports fan among you, while he was at Central Market, he provided meals for the NBA Spurs. So you can probably talk basketball with him, I think. That's basketball. So anyway, without further ado, Vincent Carvalho.
Hi. Good morning. How are you? We're very happy to be here, very glad to be here. So you can recognize right away I'm not from Texas, the little French accent, I would say. So yes, very lucky to be part of this year I had the opportunity to go to Italia, to Puglia, with some students from our bachelor degree from the Hyde Park campus, and what an amazing experience for them to be there, understand, and be part of the food culture history, and of course, different region. And so that was an amazing experience. To understand the lifestyle, the diet, the Mediterranean diet from Italy, based on, for me, it's very important, the stable ingredients, but also it's so important, the lifestyle, okay? How people interact together, go in the morning in the market, and be able simply to, receive a story from the farmer, okay? How they cultivate a special product. So it was very interesting to do that for 4 months. We're offering a spring and the fall semester, so twice a year. And I have a quick video that I would like to share with you today about what we've been doing so far, okay? I hope you enjoy.
Amazing opportunity to be able to study abroad for 3 months. Classes, as you may know, it was in a castle that we were in. So we were able to get some chef demos from bakers, cheese makers, bread makers, just home cooks as well that came into our class and taught us about Pugliese cuisine, taught us about just charcuterie in general within Italy. So each day we learned about a different region and we cooked that different region's food.
And we also did a lot of field trips. We together as a group went to Florence for a weekend.
We would go to Bologna for a weekend. We visited Calabria, all these different places. And just to learn about the people's culture was something that was an experience within itself.
Cities like Rome, Pompeii, the Amalfi Coast, they're all accessible.
And we were able to visit old churches and old monuments as well, but really being able to dive into that culture and realize where these people are coming from and why they do the things that they do is something that was valuable to me. Just being able to be in a castle and realize, wow, the people who have been here before and the history behind it, it's something just amazing within itself. The kitchen was incredible.
The kitchen itself, even though the castle is 1,000 years old, the kitchen is the most modern, technically advanced kitchen I have ever seen in my life. There is literally nothing else like it out there.
It's an unforgettable experience. You get to travel, you get to learn, you get to meet people that you never thought you would meet before in your life. So I would recommend it no matter what.
Yes, so as you can see, an amazing experience for a student. I was very happy to be part of it. But Puglia, it's an amazing place. Puglia has been explored for many, many years by different civilizations, from the Romans, the Greeks, and Turks, and the Spanish. So Puglia have a hard time to find their own food identity, but the food is just amazing. I think the people over there take their own, again, food identity on their hands and figure out what is the best for them. So today, I want to create a dish, simple dish, and I think one of the signature dish of Puglia region is called orecchiette con cima di rapa, using, semolina. So for that recipe on my mise en place, I have some semolina. I will use some water. After that, I will introduce the rapini or broccoli rabe, pretty much an early harvest broccoli rabe. And of course, we do the orecchiette. For the orecchiette, very simple. So semolina, I have about 4 cups, okay, right there. And I'm going to add simply in the center 7 ounces of lukewarm water. And we just, simply want to work it around until we have the right consistency. So, of course, different type of pasta in the south of Italy. And I think my colleague chef later will speak more about this, since we have another chef from Puglia and from Palermo, Sicilia. But you will find more dry pasta going to the south, compared to the north, where you find more like butter, cream, cheese, and egg, of course, okay? So here I mix it. And I would just, you need to finish this on a cutting board. You want to feed it, make sure that you have the right, consistency. And it's doing well. So at that point, we want to bring this to the cutting board and start to knead it. So this type of pasta, we need a good 10-15 minutes to knead by hand, okay? Until we have, so the process is just bringing back and extend, the dough until you bind it together, bringing back and forth, okay? Until, accelerate the process until I have this kind of dough with a smooth, you can see consistency on top, okay? All right, at that point, I'm going to put this aside. So what we're going to do, we want to start to shape the orecchiette, okay? Orecchiette means little ear, okay, like mine. No, I don't. All right, so at that point, we want to take a little piece of this, that dough, and by clean hands and try to have, no flour, clean table, because after it's going to go to that dough. We're just going to roll it gently by the center to make a little log. Okay, and from the center, incline, no flat, incline a little my hands to extend to the outside. Okay, so I'm start to shaping the size of my orecchiette. Okay, here we go, almost there. All right, so we can do a little bit more on that side. So you can see the dough is very, manageable. It's pretty easy, to knead. Okay, next, we're going to cut it small pieces about the size we're looking for. Okay? Always try to stay consistent, of course. All right. And after using, the best would be to using a butter knife, we're going to bring the orecchiette, the knife behind the little piece of dough, and just by rotating and pressing with my finger, and I'm going to grab my thumb in the back and turning, okay? Then I have it, and I start to build my orecchiette. So the pressure is very important, and at the same time the motion to me to make that little curve orecchiette. So you have like a very chewy dough. It's very enjoyable actually. Okay, again, So you can see I'm going from the side cut. I'm not going from the other side. It's very important for the texture. I place my thumb and I just curve it around the finger. And on and on. Okay, I have a few here made already. And I'm going to start cooking. There we go. So, we're done with that. Can use those later. So next, for the rest, we're going to start to infuse the garlic. So, when I was in Italy, we have the American student ask a lot, what about the garlic? Where's the garlic? Well, they don't use much garlic. Okay, they do, but the principle of it is just to infuse. So today, we infuse the oil, all right? And we remove the garlic and put it away, all right? So we want to start the saute pan in a low heat, because we don't want the garlic to burn, Burning the garlic will give some bitterness in the dish, and that's not good. So how much oil? Well, enough to cover the bottom of the pan. We love oil. But still, we want to make sure we have the right amount. Okay? So I have 3 garlic in there. We just infuse this nicely by controlling our heat. Okay. There we go. So the next step will be to cook our pasta. Here my broccolini rapini, early harvest broccolini rabe. I've been pre-blanched, and here you can see that green sauce. I simply use some, blend it with some the cooking water to give a little puree. So I'm going to infuse my pasta with that give more, spiciness and bitterness. The traditional dish called with rapini, but you can use dandelion, you can use mustard greens, you can use any kind of bitter greens that you like in your dish. Okay, so I'm just quickly infuse it, and I'm just starting to lightly saute my my broccolini rapini. Gently, okay? We don't want too much coloration in those greens. All right? Season gently. And here, boiling water. Normally, boiling water, you're looking about a cup of salt, sea salt per gallon. Yeah, you want that salty flavor, because whatever is going to impact in there, the seasoning and the pasta will impact your dish. Okay, so I'm going to reduce my heat very low. I'm going to drop my pasta, and the dry pasta will take a little longer than typical fresh pasta. Okay. Do you have another spoon, if you don't mind? Large spoon. Sorry, my bad. So here, quickly saute. I can remove that. Quick swirl on my pasta. I like the pasta al dente. There we go. So when you start to see the pasta dough rising to the surface of your dish, you will call it ready to go. So we never throw away the cooking water. We always use that water into a final product to emulsify, okay, the final product. All right, so here we go. So I use a little skimmer. And what I'm going to do here, my pasta is going to another 20 seconds. So I'm going to take a little of that, sauces here to infuse. Take my pasta, bring it directly to my dish. It doesn't matter, we have a little of that cooking water again. Here we go. A little bit more color. Quick tossing, and that's it. It's ready to be plated. So, very simple dish again. 2, 3 ingredients make a big difference. Here I have a plate. Okay. So I love the color. I think you will see the goal is to be able to put different flavor in there, spiciness, bitterness, sweetness of the pasta in the dish. So I think it's kind of, that's what you're looking for, you know. Here we go. A little bit more wrapping on top. I finish with a little botarga, tuna raw, cured and pressed. That give a nice touch to the land and sea and the umami flavor. Oil. Ah, okay. All right. Thank you. I'm enjoying here, actually. Pretty cool. Sorry. And there we go. Then we have the plate, okay? Enjoy it. Thank you. So next guest, chef. She's from Sicilia, Palermo, and grew up in a 200 years real estate, focused on farm to table. And she studied in France art for more than 20 years, and come back to Sicilia to take over as a director of the cooking school of a mom. I would like to introduce you Fabrizia Lanza.
Thank you for having me here. I'm very moved to be talking with such an audience. And I wanted to say a few words about what I do in Sicily, Sicily being quite a remote place. So this is my cooking school that I inherited. Let me see if I can do this. Yes. That I inherited from my mother, Antonella Lanza, who started the school 30 years ago. This year it's 30 years. And I must say it was quite a vision, because in 1989, I mean, you had Julia Child and Alice Waters over here, but in Europe, definitely there were less people talking about food as there are nowadays. And in Italy, you could count probably on one hand the ladies that would go around the world and talk about Italian food. Sicily, she was the only one. And she was adventurous. She used to come here in the States every year and show what Sicily was about. I remember the first time she came here, and a lot of very lovely Americans would greet her at these big cooking conventions. And every time she said, "Where are you from?" Americans at the time knew only about Tuscany and some more adventurous of Costiera Amalfitana. So she would say, "From Sicily." "Oh, how wonderful. Where is it?" was the answer every time. So the second time she went, she brought a map. And every time somebody would ask, "Where is it?" And she said, "It's here." So anyway, my mother started traveling to the States, wrote 2 books on Sicilian food that were published in America. And so her name and Sicily became somehow familiar to many Americans. The school is right in the middle of Sicily. You can see Antonella Lanza. It's an hour and a half inland going from Palermo and 2 hours from Catania. On the right hand, it's the estate. This is a family estate that has been in my family for over 200 years. And within the family estate, my mother created the cooking school. And the rest is all vines. We produce wine, the Tasca d'Almerita wine, and olive oil. So the school exists in a farm. It's part of a farm. It is the life of a farm. This is Casavecchia, where the schools happen. It's a typical Sicilian farmhouse that it looks more like a fortress than a house, because Sicilian countryside was pretty dangerous until 100 years ago. So you would not, it's not the same concept you have in Veneto with the villa open to the landscape, but it's a little squared fortress with a courtyard in the middle called Baglio that you would lock at night in order to avoid people to come in. And this is where everything happens, where the guests stay, where we cook, where the kitchen is. It's called Casavecchia. So I joined my mother 12 years ago. I have a first life as an art historian, a museum curator, and then all of a sudden out of Sicily, and all of a sudden I had the need to go back and deal with my roots. So I went back and I started working side by side with my mother. I was lucky enough to relate and be with her the last 4 years of her life. This is really a gift, a miraculous thing that happened to me. And then I just had this amazing experience of going back to my country, speaking the language, eating my food again. It was really overwhelming and beautiful. And since I had a background as a scholar, I started looking into Sicilian food traditions, filming. I did a documentary called Amuri, which you can look on YouTube, about the relation between our Saint Festival and the food cooked during our festivals. I started taking pictures, writing books, and doing all sorts of stuff that could lead me towards the history, the culinary history of Sicily. And I expanded the school. Now the school has 3 branches. There is an hospitality that goes from April until November, where people who are interested in food and our culinary history can come and stay and learn and enjoy the cooking of the school. There is an educational branch that happens in winter from January until March with a long-term, 8-week food course about filling the gap between farming and cooking. And finally, there is a nonprofit we started this year that's called Food Heritage Association, which is meant to fundraise in order to allow young scholars and PhD students to do research on our culinary traditions. We all think that Italy is the well of all knowledge and all food tradition, but I suppose that they are endangered as much as any other countries. Young people are interested in fast food. Young people don't cook, so it's important to record and preserve what our grandparents have left us. So I'm not going to do glamorous recipes for you today because in some ways I'm more interested, and the school is more interested in showing the behind the scene of a recipe or of an ingredient, to tell you the story, to give you the reason why we grow durum wheat instead of soft wheat, or we have a squash of a certain type instead of another. I think the connection to what we eat coming from the land is probably the first step in order to understand if the food is good, why it is in that way or another. So I'm going to show you, there are some, the microphone doesn't work. Sorry. Okay, so I wanted to just show you quick, oops, you didn't hear nothing so far? You did, okay. So could you start again with the pictures? They go very fast. So this is, for example, one of our experiences in summer. It's around the tomato paste that we make. So we do this passata that dries in the sun for 6 days, stirring it continuously, and you end up getting very, very tight paste that will concentrate, and it's like a good cube stock. We use it in soups, we use it in all sorts of different dishes, and it's called estratto. Here am I laying this tomato juice on the tables and stirring it for days in the sun. This is one thing we share with our students or with our guests. And okay, this is Case Vecchie. It's quite beautiful, obviously, all these red tables moving around. And at the end, you start with 10 tables and you then end up with 1 table. You see I'm scraping the leftover out of, I don't know, 200 kilos of tomatoes. You start with 200 kilos of tomatoes, you get 15 kilos of tomato paste. So the reduction is huge. And there's only salt in it. It's just salt and tomato. These are sun-dried tomatoes. So we do everything from scratch, literally, in the sense that we grow these tomatoes, we farm them, we do our plants. I am personally seedoholic, so anywhere I go, I take seeds in the wild, in countries where I travel, and I bring my students to understand what the soil is about, how you have to deal with clay or with sandy soil, how you have to deal with plants, with seeds, and all of this. This is our intensive 8-week program in winter. Anyway, I let you go on because if I don't cook, I'm afraid I won't go through it. So, as I said, I want, again, this is my enemy, this thing. Vieni, Antonella. Antonella is my friend. We met here. She's from Puglia. She's going to do the demo after me. And she's great. And she's going to help me cook. And I'm going to help her translate. So this is a joint venture.
And she has her own restaurant for more than 20 years, worked by herself, and Chef will explain her new project, okay?
Is this on? So I chose 2 recipes because, as I said, I'm more interested in the story behind the recipes and where they come from. And this recipe that is called fegato ai 7 cannoli in Italian, in English it's translated liver from the 7 pipes. Mysterious. It's a recipe that was sold in a specific square in Palermo, in the market called La Vucceria, where there is a fountain that actually has 7 pipes. And it was a way to kind of bypass the poverty of people who could not afford buying liver. And they would do the squash roasted or deep fried and then covered with onions and seasoned with vinegar and sugar. A sort of a poor escabeche. You know that sweet and sour is super common all around Europe. It's a medieval flavoring of mixing up savory with sweet. And this, when people didn't have the liver, you have fegato alla veneziana, for example, in Venice, which is exactly the same recipe done with real liver. In this case, it's a recipe done with... Posso fare? Sì, tranquilla. It's done with the squash that you grill. Now, we don't have butternut squash in Sicily, so our squashes are much softer. So on a grill, it will take 10 minutes. With a butternut squash, I'm afraid you'll have to do longer before it softens up. And this is... Some people also deep fry it in a pan with a lot of oil, but I think it's too heavy, so I rather do it on a grill and get the nice stripes of the roasting on the squash. I did import seeds of butternut squash in my farm, and I love butternut squash, so I did do that. But the problem is that squash is one of those plants that mates. So the first year you get a butternut squash, the second year you get a crazy elephant man that you don't know exactly what it is about. Anyway, the idea is to roast this for at least 15 minutes. We don't have 15 minutes, so I will let it go. And the onions that are sautéed in a little bit of olive oil very gently will be seasoned with vinegar and sugar, salt and pepper. You may eventually add a little drop of water in order to slow down the onions, because what you want is not really to cook them all the way through, but you want to kind of slow them down and allow them to be soft and cover your squash. So now I will put the sugar and the vinegar. We usually use wine vinegar, red wine vinegar. A nice pinch of salt and a nice pinch of pepper. Okay, these are nice and caramelized. Okay, I leave them for a few minutes more and I start mixing the dough. So you will be maybe fed up of orecchiette and homemade pasta. Oh, did I move it again? Is it?
It's good.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I brought my flour, not because I am not happy with the flour you have in America, but because until I would say 5 years ago, every time I would ask for durum wheat flour, I would get semolina, which is much coarser than the flour we have. And so I was afraid I wouldn't get the right flour, but now things have progressed, I've seen. Anyway, I'm going to use my flour. I just want to tell you one thing about this durum wheat flour, because again, we grow in Sicily and in the south of Italy only durum wheat. We don't have what you call soft wheat or all-purpose flour. And it's a very different flour from the flour that is used in the north of Italy. And this produces two complete different concepts of pasta. In the south, the pasta is made out of durum wheat.
3 minuti.
3 minuti?
Sì.
Oh,
Sì.
okay. In the south,
3
pasta
minuti,
is
chef.
made only with durum wheat and water. So I'm going to knead this. And that produces a pasta that is, how could I say, chewy somehow, short, with ridges that allow you to include and absorb the flavor of the juice. In the north, where they only have soft wheat, the pasta is more of a case that will support the filling. So you have ravioli, you have tortelli, you have all these wonderful filling. I won't have time to knead this, so I will go directly to my dough, which is here. The dough needs to rest. This is how it turns out. And these are the cavatelli I need to make. So my table should be nice and clean. It's not, but we'll make it all the same. Me lo impiatti questo? Grazie. We do exactly the same roll you've seen so far. Maybe I could do it over here. Sorry. I'm pushing lightly from the center to the exterior part, and then I'm going to chop little pieces.
Do you hear me?
Trying to be equal. And then I'm going to use this little board and start doing the cavatelli. Pressing and producing a little hollowness in the middle in order to get the ridges that will absorb the juice, the tomato sauce in this case, and the hollowness that will allow the pasta to cook quickly.
Very nice.
Okay.
40 seconds, chef. 40 secondi.
Sorry, I don't
You
hear.
have 40 seconds left.
Okay. So meanwhile, I will plate these.
Wanna go?
Oops.
Did you get everything ready for her? Everything is ready for her? Antonella? Maybe you can... Okay. If you want, you can empezar su and I'm introduce you to you. Okay? If you want. She has everything. She can start on the right side. Okay, and I want to introduce you. Yeah.
I was hoping to give you cavatelli for breakfast, but
Okay, let me let them know I'm going to skip.
it's too short.
All right. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Thank you. And now, let me introduce you Antonella Scatigna. She's from Puglia, Locorotondo. And I got a pleasure to meet her a couple of days, in the kitchen, and we work closely together. And, so far, I can tell you she's an amazing person with a big heart. And she told me a story the other day when we were having breakfast about, your 20 years in the restaurant business, but also her new project she's been working for the past 10 years. Actually, she's dedicated close to your, here, about taking care of children in Congo to create an hospital for them. So she's in charge of about 30 children, and she got a, a project called Hospital in One Day, to elaborate that for the children in Congo. So I think it's amazing then you be able to balance your life and give it back to any type of community. So very proud of that. Very nice job. Antonella, all yours.
Moment, please. Good morning to all of you. I am very happy to be here. Is a dream. Thank you. Allora, anche oggi vi porterò due piatti tipici della nostra terra, dei piatti molto molto antichi. Il primo risale al 1600, preso dalle origini spagnole. È una tiella, riso, patate e cozze.
So today she's going to talk with us, show you two very ancient dishes from her region. The first one is a dish which has Spanish origin from the 16th century, and it's called a tiella with potatoes and cozze. E la seconda?
La seconda sarà una melenzana ripiena.
And the second one will be a stuffed eggplant.
Allora, cominciamo. La tiella riso patate e cozze nasce da una necessità di mettere tutto insieme ingredienti molto semplici, patate, riso e zucchina.
So the tiella with potatoes and cozze is born by the necessity of putting everything together in a very poor meal, everything you had, which are potatoes, cozze, come si chiamano le cozze?
Mussoli.
Mussels. She knows it.
Poi in seguito è venuto la necessità di arricchire un po' questo piatto mettendo il sapore del pesce. Però il pesce prima era molto caro e quindi i nostri contadini mettevano le cozze.
So I got mixed up. So at the beginning it was just the potato and the tiella, and then later on there was the necessity to add the flavor of a fish, but since fish was very expensive, they added a few mussels.
È un tegame, la tiella viene dal nome paella. Paella sono i nostri tipici tegami di terracotta.
Tiella comes from the word paella, which is a typical pot in terracotta.
Andremo a mettere tutti i nostri ingredienti tagliati piccolini a cubetti in una coppa.
We're going to put all our ingredients diced in a bowl.
È un piatto che parte tutto da crudo. Quindi abbiamo messo le patate, le zucchine.
We start everything raw, so we start with the potatoes, the zucchini,
un po' di pomodoro.
Some tomato.
Mi fa paura questo coltello.
Vabbè, non ti preoccupare. Non passare.
La cipolla.
Onions.
Poi andremo a mettere del prezzemolo.
Then parsley.
Andremo a mettere le nostre cozze sgusciate.
So
the
mussels without the shell.
Di solito le apriamo a crudo. Adesso per questione di conservazione e di rapidità le abbiamo aperte sul fuoco.
Usually you open them raw while they're still alive. Now for sanitary reason she's opened them on the fire.
Poi andremo a mettere il nostro riso. Di solito io uso o del carnaroli o dell'arborio, del riso che mantiene la cottura in forno, perché come vi ho detto sono cotture che partono tutto da crudo.
So then she puts the rice. Usually she uses carnaroli or arborio. These are rices that hold the cooking because everything starts from raw.
Adesso andiamo con i condimenti.
Now she's seasoning it. So
olio,
olive oil,
sale,
salt,
il pepe,
pepper,
del pecorino o del parmigiano, quello che voi avete in casa.
Or parmesan, whatever you have in the house.
Come liquido per dare la cottura andremo a mettere del vino bianco.
As a liquid we will put some white wine.
E l'acqua che abbiamo ricavato dai nostri molluschi filtrata.
And the water that you got from the mullets. Yes, cooking the mussel and straining it.
A questo punto andremo a mettere in un tegame da forno.
At this point you use a baking pan.
andremo a mettere delle cozze con i gusci sopra.
You will put some mussels with the shells on top.
Ancora del formaggio.
Some cheese, more cheese.
E andiamo a mettere direttamente in forno per 40 minuti e va per la cottura.
So this will be cooking 40 minutes. A quanto?
Adesso passiamo al nostro secondo piatto.
A quanto?
A quanto? 160 gradi. Così.
160 degrees Celsius, so around 320. Yeah. Adesso cosa?
Adesso il nostro secondo piatto. Andiamo a fare le melenzane ripiene.
So the second dish will be the stuffed eggplants.
È un modo di lavorare con la verdura, però arricchendola con del ripieno, un ripieno molto semplice.
So it's a way to work with vegetables, but enriching the flavors with other flavors in a very simple way. So
Allora,
she's carving.
andremo a scavare la nostra melenzana.
She's carving the eggplant.
Creando una barchetta.
Creating a small boat.
Un tegame, sì. Sì. No, un tegame.
Questo?
No, un tegame per friggere come questo. Ok. Allora, intanto andremo innanzitutto a far rosolare in poco d'olio questa buccia, in questa maniera, con un po' d'olio.
Found. So we're going to saute with a little bit of oil the peel of the eggplant.
Intanto che la buccia rosola,
While the skin, the peel cooks,
andremo a fare nella stessa maniera con la polpa della melenzana tagliata a cubettini e l'andremo anche lei a rosolare con uno spicchio d'aglio e andremo a cuocere anche la melenzana.
so she will do the same with another pan with the interior of the eggplant, with a clove of garlic.
Il risultato che andremo ad ottenere è questo.
What we're going to
Quindi.
get is this.
Questa è la buccia passata in olio e questo è il ripieno passato, saltato in padella con dell'olio e dell'aglio.
So this is the filling and that's the skin.
A questo punto questa melenzana che abbiamo precedentemente saltata in padella la andiamo a mettere in una coppa, ci metteremo
So the stuffing will be in a bowl. We will add
dell'uovo,
an egg,
del formaggio,
some cheese,
del pane grattugiato.
some, this is breadcrumbs,
Da questo impasto, questo è un impasto base, un impasto povero, dove
this is a basic filling, a filling that poor people would use.
nell'arco degli anni gli impasti sono stati anche cambiati e rivisitati. Qualcuno ci mette del riso, qualcuno ci mette della carne macinata, ognuno ci può mettere di tutto. Questo è il classico.
In recent years, people have added or used other stuff inside, like rice or minced meat, anything. You could use really anything.
Con questo impasto andiamo a riempire la nostra barchetta.
So with this filling, she fills up the skin of the eggplant. Qua.
Ok. Andremo a ricoprire questa melenzana con del semplice pomodoro passato in padella e poi frullato e aromatizzato con del basilico fresco.
So she's going to cover this eggplant with tomato, which has been cooked in a pan with some fresh basil and then pureed.
Andiamo a mettere un altro poco di formaggio sopra.
Adding a little bit of cheese.
In Puglia gli ingredienti non lesiniamo proprio.
In Puglia we put a lot of ingredients.
E andiamo a mettere per 15 minuti a 150 gradi nel forno.
And 15 minutes, 150 degrees Celsius in the oven, so around 300 Fahrenheit.
Ed ecco qua la tiella, riso, patate e cozze.
And this is the tiella, riso, potato and mussel.
E le melenzane ripiene.
And the
Grazie mille.
eggplant. La tua lettera.
Puoi leggere.
Can I read this? So this is a letter that, sorry, Antonella has written. Her wishes for these 30 kids she's taking care of in Congo. Dear colleagues, being here with you and talking about international cuisine is for me a dream come true. It seems like yesterday that against all the adversities that life gave me, I opened a small restaurant in my country in Puglia, southern Italy. Cooking, serving, sweeping and washing dishes, all alone, a dream that has turned into reality. Today, I'm no longer alone. I have tireless employees and loyal customers, and I have you, lovers of good food, true flavors and hospitality. And it is you I want to talk to because I have another dream. A dream I share with over 30 children, all orphan. Before I met them, they were alone and desperate. But remember, children should never feel alone. Today, they have an orphanage, a plate of rice, and some nuns who take care of them. The next project, the dream I'm talking about, is just an idea. But with your help, it can become reality. It is called Hospital in One Day. We can build a small emergency hospital together in the orphanage in Katana, in the heart of Congo, Africa, a place forgotten by the world where people die for nothing. I ask you to dedicate one day of your restaurant to save the lives of these children. We all cook together on the same day, each of us in our own restaurant at home. Far away from each other, but close in spirit and generosity. With the earning of just one day, we can all build a hospital together and save the lives of these children who might otherwise die from a cold. This meeting at the CA represents something special, the union of energy and passion for good food, and from this union, love and generosity can also help children less fortunate than ours. If you want to know more, please come and talk to me. We also have a website in both English and Italian, maybe this we should show. So www.maniunitecongo.org. So I'll spell it MANIUNITECONGO.org. Thank you.
Chef Fabrizia, Chef Antonella, mille grazie. Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
Grazie, thank you. Thank you so much.
Chef. Thank you, Antonella. Molto grazie. We will now be going to our breakout session. Doug, if you can pull out the campus map, although I'm sure you guys are all super familiar with campus now. Okay, perfect. So if you are in seminar 1, you are in the Napa Valley Vintner, or not 1, but the seminar 9, sorry, Napa Valley Vintner, on the other side of the Connect Lounge. Seminar 10, you are here. Seminar 11, you're in the private dining rooms next to the campus store. Seminar 12, you are on the second floor in the food business classroom. Seminar kitchen demonstration J, kitchen workshop J, you're in the Chuck Williams Theater. Workshop K in the Bocuse kitchen, all of these are on the second floor. Kitchen workshop L in the Woodstone outdoor live fire kitchen outside in the amphitheater. Kitchen workshop M in the garden, the Colavita outdoor garden kitchen on the right-hand side in front of the building, and kitchen workshop N at the Copia restaurant kitchen counter. And then you will go on break at 10:30, and we will be back in this room for our final general session at 11. So have great breakouts and see you in a bit.
This vegan grape meze platter will surprise and delight your guests. Here, marinated black grapes replace traditional olives, the falafel is stuffed with hidden grapes, and the tabbouleh is made with green grapes instead of cucumbers for a pleasing change. Let's start with the falafel. In a food processor, add the soaked raw chickpeas, onions, parsley, cilantro, salt, garlic, cumin, and baking powder. Process this until you have a mealy consistency. Add enough flour if needed so that the dough forms a small ball and no longer sticks to your hands. Refrigerate covered for at least an hour or overnight. With wet hands, form the chickpea mixture into balls about the size of walnuts and stuff 2 halves of red grapes in the middle. When you're ready to serve, heat 3 inches of oil to 375 degrees Fahrenheit in a deep pot or wok and fry the falafel balls until they are golden brown. Next, let's make the baba ganoush. Place the eggplants on a hot grill and char them on all sides until they are very tender. Allow the eggplants to cool. Scoop the flesh out of the charred skin and then place the eggplant, tahini, garlic, grapes, lemon juice, olive oil, salt, pepper, and yogurt in a food processor and puree until smooth. Chill until ready to serve. Now for the marinated black grapes, heat an oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Place the black grapes on a lined sheet pan and roast for 3 minutes. Remove and cool the grapes down to room temperature. In a mixing bowl, combine the rosemary, parsley, garlic, red pepper flakes, olive oil, and salt. Toss with the roasted black grapes. Lastly, I'm making the tabbouleh with a twist. I'm swapping the traditional cucumbers with green grapes. Serve this Mediterranean platter as a fun, shareable appetizer. Find this recipe and more on ciaprochef.com/grapes. Here's a delicious vegetarian twist on bao, using tea-smoked watermelon in place of the traditional pork belly. Compressing the watermelon gives it the perfect texture to stand in for the protein in this dish. Start by preparing the watermelon. Peel the skin off, remove the rind, and cut the rind into a julienne using a mandolin. We'll use this later for our slaw. Cut the watermelon flesh into 2 by 4 by 4 inch slabs and place the slabs into a cryovac bag. Season the slabs with soy sauce and 5-spice powder in the cryovac bag. These slabs have been compressed in a vacuum sealer at 99%. Now we're going to smoke our watermelon. To make a smoker, line the inside of a pot or a pan smoker with aluminum foil. Mix together the tea leaves, rice, brown sugar, and star anise. Spread the tea mixture evenly on the foil. Place the pan on the burner, uncovered, and turn the flame to high heat. When the tea mixture begins to smoke and the rice begins to turn brown, set the compressed watermelon on the rack. Cover the pan, reduce the heat, and smoke for 8 to 10 minutes. Turn off the heat and let stand for 5 minutes. Remove the lid and slightly cool the watermelon. Slice the watermelon into half-inch pieces. In a small bowl, mix together the mayonnaise and the sriracha sauce. In another bowl, combine the julienne, watermelon rind, carrots, daikon, and salt. Combine the spicy mayonnaise mixture with the slaw ingredients. Now we're ready to assemble our bao. Spread hoisin sauce on the inside of each hot steamed bun and place a slice of smoked watermelon and slaw on the inside. Garnish with cilantro and serve. Tea-smoked watermelon bao with pickled watermelon rind slaw. Enjoy this unique shared appetizer at your next party.
Quinoa and rice stuffed leeks, and the inspiration to that dish came through traveling in Israel and seeing the different variation on stuffed vegetables. Take the leeks, trim the root end, blanch them in hot boiling water or in a liquid concentrated broth. Gently cut a slit lengthwise, not all the way through, and peel the leeks one layer at a time. Those layers will be what we use to stuff. Prepare the mixture. Use chopped garlic. Add quinoa and rice that have been soaked separately in water for at least 1 hour. Add chopped mint, roughly chopped walnuts, and mix well. Add pomegranate molasses, nor intense flavor miso umami, and a little bit of cumin to the stuffing and mix well. Place about a tablespoon or 2 of the stuffing into the leek, roll the leeks, and place aside. When you're done, lay evenly in a shallow pan and cover with liquid concentrated broth that is diluted in water. Add about 2 tablespoons of pomegranate molasses and 2 Persian lemons. Bring to a simmer, cover, and cook for about an hour until rice is fully cooked. Put the leeks on a serving platter, garnish with fennel ferns, and drizzle with pomegranate molasses.